Welcome back to another lecture. So today I'll be taking you through installation of Cypress and how you can write some minor Cypress scripts. And so let's dive right into it. So first off, you'd have to go to Cypress website, cypress.io, and then right there you can see the documentation, the installation, how to install it, and you can choose to read all of it on your spare time. But right now, what will be focused on majorly will be the installation and how to install it. So there are two main ways to get Cypress installed on your system or on your PC. The first way is using the npm install. Second way is using the download zip file. I personally like using the download zip file. Let's click that and let's download that file. While the file is downloading, there are other couple of things that we need to install in order to run Cypress. Let's copy this first and then let's move to Visual Studio Code. If you already have Visual Studio Code, you can just download it, and I will drop a link on how to download Visual Studio Code. First of all, we'll have to run npm init. So this is supposed to install package.json file for you to run Cypress. So you just hit enter to the very end, and then right there you can see the package.json file has been installed. So next up, we'll then have to install we then have to run npm install cypress. So this is supposed to add a couple of other files to your directory, and then if it doesn't add that, yeah, right here you get some errors when you use npm install cypress. We can always switch to another way, which is yarn add cypress. So once you do this, it's supposed to add your node modules and your yarn.lock. So let's just give it a moment. I'll speed this up for the purpose of this lecture. It takes a couple of minutes to download. Right there, you can see your node modules have been installed. I'm still trying to install other packages. So once that has been completely done, we can then move to activating our Cypress. So let's just give it a while for that to install, and then here you have it. We've successfully installed yarn and then our node modules. You can go through all these files if you want, but there is really nothing for you to go through there. You can just skip it and then continue to the next step. So right here, our Cypress file has been downloaded successfully. So let's install this file and then move it to a directory that you can easily locate, so you don't look for it every single time. So for me, I would move this from my downloads folder to my desktop. I already have Cypress, but then let's just replace that and close the tab, close all tabs, and then let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. So right here, I will then have to open Cypress. I'll search for Cypress and then I open Cypress. So what this will do is it will install some other packages that hasn't been installed, like the Cypress folder. So let's just wait for Cypress to load a bit here. So depending on the speed of your computer, this might take seconds or up to a minute. Right, so I already have this file in my directory, which is the file I'm working with, test Google one. But if you don't, you can always add new project. Now, once I click that, it's saying not configured, and then I click E2E testing for it to configure it. It shows me the files that it's going to add, and then I click continue. So with that, if you come back to your Visual Studio Code, you would see that Cypress folder has been installed with a fixtures folder, and um, then with your cypress.config.js file. Let's go back to Cypress and then let's start E2E testing in Chrome. So what this does is it opens another Chrome windows, different from your regular Chrome windows you've been using. So this is controlled by Cypress. This particular window will be controlled by Cypress, and then you open your E2E. It then creates a folder. It creates is a file for you to, then you can either have a scaffold example specs or create new specs. So creating new specs is like creating individual files that you want to test, or scaffolding where you create multiple files all at once. But for the purpose of this lecture, we will be creating a spec, just a single spec. So let's get down to it. Click that, and then right here you ask you the name of the file you want to create. So you remove the spec and then you give it your own specific name. Mine is Google dot homepage, or hold on, let me clean that. Let me say Google dot landing page, and you must always end it with .cy.js so you recognize it's a Cypress file. Let's create that spec. It automatically generates a bunch of code templates for us we can use, or we can modify. So when you click that, it's supposed to take you to the browser, but before then, let's modify that file. So now you can see that E2E folder has been added, and our Google underscore landing page file has been created. And then you can see the example code snippets that we have right there. So what we do is change all that we want to change to target what we want to target. Right now, this test is currently targeting Cypress example.cypress.io, but we want it to target Google search bar, Google landing page. So what do we do? First off, you change the test case. So right there is your test case, your test scenario rather. So you change your test scenario to what you want the scenario to be. So Google homepage, right? And what is the test case? Right here is your functions. You can either write it as function, or you can write it in codes like this. So what is your test case? The test case right here is it opens Google search bar. It opens Google search bar, and then we change that URL to fit Google's URL, of course. And then to visit a web app using Cypress, you need to use the command cy.visit. So if you use cy.visit, Cypress recognizes that, oh, you're trying to visit a particular URL, and then you include the URL in a bracket, in a quote, and then you execute that. So right now, would start Cypress, which is npx Cypress open. So when you run this, it tells you if you are already running on the latest version, it goes through. But if you're not, it prompts you that this is your first time running Cypress with a version, and then you can continue to A2E testing, and then you can start your Chrome browser. So right here, just click got it. There's nothing to change. So when you click this, it then takes you to a browser where you can see your test execute. So right now, you can see it has visited the web page google.com. You can see google.com right here on the web page. You do not need to enter it manually because you already targeted that particular URL. This is actually automating the whole process where you don't actually need to write it. You don't actually need to click or have to type on the web page to manually test the web application. So let's add a few more lines of code. So we visited the Google work, the Google search bar. So let's try to search for something. Let's try to type. So right here you can see Cypress picker. If you click that, it's supposed to pick the exact position you're trying to target, and then it gives you uh, the class ID of that particular field you are trying to target. Right here, if you go up here, you see the class ID. So copy that. Once you're done copying, you go back to your Visual Studio Code, and then you target it. So to target it, you use cy.get, that Cypress get this class from the web page. Always remember to put your class in a quote, either a double quote or a single quote, and then you say dot type because you're trying to type a particular line of sentence or phrase. Dot type in a single quote or a double quote, then you impute what you want Cypress to type for you. So you don't want Cypress, you don't want to every time go to the web to type it manually. So right now I'm seeing Cypress documentation. When I go back to the home page and then I refresh, you see that line executed. Right now it has visited google.com and then it has typed Cypress documentation. So this on another class, I'll teach you on how to target this so you take it out of the way. That's called an iframe. But for the purpose of this class, this is all we have for now. Next class starts in a bit.